Welcome to the Jones College of Business Tech Tips. This week we are going to learn about custom formats and camera, two features of Microsoft Excel. Tip number one, custom formats. A custom format is a specific format that the end user in Excel creates. Sometimes when you are working with large numbers or scientific notation values, those are very hard to read. When you encounter those large values, it would be great if you can abbreviate those values. For example, I have a report every month about the hard disk space in the lab and the classroom computers that tells me how much free space is free. Unfortunately, when I import that report in Excel, it comes in scientific notation, hard to read. So you can add a comma value like this, but then still large values are those megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, petabytes, you don't know. So it would be easier if you can generate a format like the one that you see right here, that it says, in this case, 510 gigabytes. How many free space? 140 gigabytes. So you can create a format like this that will automatically translate everything to gigabytes. That's one example. Another example is you could also use colors and symbols in the formatting. For example, in here we have a sample of some grades. As soon as you enter the grade, according to the grade, you can apply a color to the contents of the cell, you can add a symbol, you can add text, etc. If you can see this. So let's go see how you can learn how to do that in Excel.
As you can see here, this is the report that we get from the system showing us the hard disk space available in the computers. So I'm gonna sort it here, A to Z, and this is the values that we get. As you can see, it's hard to figure out what exactly are those values. One quick way to do this is to translate this to gigabyte. I can select in here and change the format of this to commas. And I got some values now that are more legible for me, but it would be great if we can have something like this, gigabytes. Let me show you how to do that. You go to the cell, right click, format cell, custom, and select the custom format that you want to use. In this case, gigabytes, and we're going to use this format right here. So under custom, we're going to look for this value right here. But in here, notice that we have thousands of bytes. You will see the comma character separates the thousands. So gigabytes means 3 sets of commas. And then I just type GB in this case and say OK. And look what happened now. You see that format? Now I can apply this same format here, and as you can see, that's how you set the format. If you look at this spreadsheet right here, you will notice that sometimes it says gigabytes, most of the time it will say gigabyte, but sometimes it says terabytes. So it automatically adjusts for the value in the cell. How we achieve this? We achieve this using this format right here. I'm going to show you the formatting option in Excel. When you are specifying a format in here, for example, I'm going to go right here, format cells. Look at this format option right there. There are several options separated by semicolons, as you can see here in some of the options. And what does that mean? Well, there are 4 possible parts. First, all these are number formats. So what is the format for the positive numbers? What is the format for the negative numbers? 0 values, and then you can add text. However, you can also use a different formatting based on conditions. So here, the format that we're going to use is this format right here, and it's basically when that happens, the conditions are different. In this case, the condition says based on the values in there. So notice what it says right here. If the value in square brackets is less than terabyte, use the format, notice that it has the 3 commas and the gigabyte text in there. Second condition, normally that will be for the negative value, but we have a condition in square brackets is less than a petabyte, and that's a petabyte value, then therefore it's a terabyte, and notice that there are 4 commas in here, and then terabytes. Otherwise, we assume that it's a petabyte, and that's what you see 5 commas in here, and that's basically the format that we are using. When we apply that format to these cells, some values, most of the values will be gigabyte. When the value is large enough, it automatically switches to terabyte, as you can see. And that's how you can format these values. There is a new format that we're going to learn here, and it has to do with adding a condition, a color, and a symbol or text. So by default, the format has a specific parameters. It has the positive parameter, the negative, that you specify how to format a 0 value or a text. However, when you use in bracket conditions, then the parameter becomes color first, a condition, any conditional value, the format that you want to apply, and then the symbol or text that you want to add. So in here, this is the format applying here. So let's go see what format is that one. First, the color. So we tell it it's going to be red if the value is less than 61. And then the value, and notice that I have the format, how you want to display the value. And then a space, and then a symbol in quotes, semicolon. That will be the second parameter, and that will be normally the negative. But in this case, it's another parameter that is blue. If the value is over 89, display this symbol. So if the value is less than 61, 60 or below, it displays in reds, it displays the value and displays this symbol right there. If the value is greater than 89, it displays in blue, it displays the value and this symbol right there. Otherwise, it just displays the value with the symbol. And that's what is happening right here. So let's go see how this works. So for example, if I put in here 60, still display that value. What about if I say 65? Now it's just a value. What about 77 in here? It's just a value. 89 is just a value. 90, oh, now it's greater than 89 and display that. So if you can see how that the formatting works now with colors, conditions, the formatting options for the value, and a symbol. And that's the format that you use in here.
Tip number 2. Excel Camera. Excel Camera is a useful feature because it allows you to create a virtual window to a spreadsheet range. Now, it has several advantages. Is that you might have 2 different files, one with some data, one with some other data, and you want the files, this second file, to see the data that is in this file. Normally, you just refer to it manually within a cell. But guess what? Those values still reside within a cell. With Camera, you create a live connection. It's like a picture that overlays on top of your spreadsheet, but you can change the size. You can make it larger, smaller, and it's always active. So if something changes in the original file, it will automatically update the figure in the destination file. So let me show you how that will work with Excel.
So to do this, the first step is you need to add the camera option to the quick access toolbar at the top. You go to File, Options, Quick Access Toolbar, select all commands, look for camera, and then you're gonna add it here to the quick access toolbar. When that is done, you're gonna see this icon right here. So how the camera works. First, you select a range of values. Then I click in the camera. Then you go to a separate file and click in the cell that you want to put this. So I click in here, click twice, and look what happened. The value appears in here. Now notice this is not cell values. This is an object on top of the spreadsheet, but it's a live read-only value. You cannot change the values in here. But look what happens if I go right here and say sort this by largest to smallest. It changes right here, but it also changes in here. Another advantage, you can change the size of this. I can make it smaller, I can make it larger, whatever size you want to do. What else can I do? Well, I can select something else. For example, I'm gonna go right here, select this range of cells, click on camera and drop it right here. Now I have 2 windows to the document, one with the values, one with this. Now the advantages, as I showed you earlier, is that it is a read-only window that is always live. Whatever changes are happening in the source spreadsheet values will appear in the camera views in the second set of values. That's the camera feature.
I hope you enjoyed these 2 short tips in Excel. This concludes this presentation.